Somewhere, hidden in Seattle, through these gilded aged gates, brought all the way from New York, an hour-and-a-half pleasant drive through nature, a slow agonizing hour-longer drive through minefield paths. You will reach another gate, heavily guarded by security, who'll take your keys before you pass, leaving you to walk through a beautiful garden courtyard, and finally you'll reach your destination, the Fashion Palace. This giant structure, inspired by Rococo-themed palaces, painted in eccentric colors, with excessive yet unique detail trims of gold, and two twin towers, just to hang laundry. The Fashion Palace is a tax-free movable structure. Yes, you heard right. This giant mess of retro pink and turquoise monstrosity has over 1 million rockets beneath its floors, which when activated the palace will fly, making it easier to move from one hidden location to another. Within these walls you'll discover elaborate pink sitting rooms, overkill pink kitchens, obsessively insane pink dinner rooms, and the world's largest ballroom-sized swimming pool that's not so pink. Here lives the most eccentric, insane and friendliest people on the earth. However, this is not about them, or a free tour. This is about the woman who built it. Within these...
Hello, I am Mr. Balloon Face. We've gained special permission to access the forbidden and secret archives locked away within the Fashion Palace. For the first time, the story of the most remarkable woman who's lived through the centuries. I speak of the Countess Anna-Marie Contivale, who's known for an iconic smile which has caused the damnation or salvation of many through the centuries. Join me, in episode 1, as we explore the history behind the Contivale family. Unearth history that many tried to hide. From the days the Knights Templar fell, to the reign of Henry VIII and the last Tudor Queen Elizabeth I. Discover the conspiracy, jealousy, murder, betrayal, love, revenge, and sacrifice, and your one and only chance to learn the secrets of the Countess's smile. We begin the night before the fall of the Knights Templar. A man, carrying with him some of the holy relics, has fled. His friend, who bears a striking resemblance to him, warned him of the danger and, willing to sacrifice his life, exchange his clothing so this man can escape with some of the treasure. This man is called Sir Cassian, the youngest of the Knights Templar. He manages to escape and later encounters a traveling family who have been ambushed by vagabonds. We begin the night. Cassian came to their aid. The family was so grateful they offered him shelter, and upon learning the truth, protected him. After all, he had saved their lives. Over time, Cassian fell in love with Cecilia, the daughter of the family who housed him. The two were married and he adopted their surname, Contivale. I will now pass the narrative to the Countess, who's better telling the full story than I could ever be.
The Contivale family goes back a long time. Our family tree is massive. However, due to the whitewashing of historical slanderers, much of our history was destroyed. But flourish of power was noted in the year 1312 with the downfall of the Knights Templar. My ancestor Sir Cassian was one of them. He escaped death after his friend who resembled him warned of the danger and took his place while so he could escape. He later met his wife Cecilia Contivale and after marriage adopted her surname. Cassian Contivale had with him sacred relics from his time as a Templar. He secretly had them melted down, destroying ancient history forever, and created the Contivale wealth. The artifacts may have been gone, but whatever power they held wasn't from it. The Contivales are powerful family. We thrived for generations and built our family home, Bacre Castle. It's now a ruin, but in its time it was known to the locals as the Fortress of Hell.
The Contivale crest is a unique one with symbolism. You have the helmet above, representing status of knighthood in the family. In the middle a tower, the presentation of a strong secure home. But just above, you have the guardian, a snake, which watches night and day. This is reference to a legend from Cassian's family background. To a woman called Honora of Monemvasia. She was from Grecian background and was suspected of witchcraft. The history of Honora is very little. What we do know is that she was a noble woman who was said to have been quite beautiful. So beautiful that a knight, his brother, Son and nephew all fought against each other for her hand. The knight's son married her first. He died mysteriously. The knight then married her and he died. The brother was next, and after his mysterious death, the nephew married her only to die 4 months later. What was weird, each man died from the deadly venom of a snake's bite. This was suspicious, but nothing could be proved against the woman of these unfortunate short marriages. And Honora gained ownership of their property as a widow, much to the displeasure of the discarded wives of the men who abandoned them for her. They called her a witch, claiming they knew it was her and the cursed stone she owned. The stone they spoke of was said to be an heirloom Honora kept with her person at all times. This stone came from a piece of the Medusa statue. This Medusa was a gorgon in Grecian times who had snakes for hair, and anyone who looked at her would turn to stone. She was beheaded by Perseus, and her body fossilized into unique stone. While her head was still dangerous, pieces of the fossilized stone were just as deadly, and Honora owned one of them. She soon fled. Bringing her wealth, she remarried another knight, and a year later gave birth to Cassian's father. She died 7 years later.
My ancestor's grandmother is the snake in the coat of arms crest. After her death, a servant saw a golden snake slither from beneath her sheets and disappear. Ever since, strange deaths occurred to enemies of Cassian's family, all from snake poisoning. That's the history of why the snake was chosen as the guardian. As for the Medusa stone, it too disappeared, never to be seen again.
Bacre Castle. This was the Contivale family home, built by Cassian in the old farmlands of his wife's family. As time passed and the family grew, the castle's own growth had become a monstrosity of 32,700 feet, equaling to about 109 football fields combined. Although a ruin, what bits of the castle that still stands still shows just how huge the structure had been, as well as how rich the family that lived here were. But the castle had a secret, a dark secret. Below the castle walls was said to be a passage that led to a dungeon. It was here these men would meet their end in severe ways, and later it would be covered up as accidents. The king, who both feared and respected the family, would offer payment as a favor to dispose of these enemies. One such item was a rope of pearls, which later became part of a Contivale iconic item, the sea necklace. The necklace was first a brooch made by Cassian Contivale. It was first made into 2 letter C's facing away from each other. In between them was a ruby cross. This cross was secretly in tribute to Cassian's days as a Templar. The gold was melted down from some of the holy relics. The rubies and the pear-shaped pearls came from the robes of the first Holy Emperor, which was part of the treasure. The brooch was later altered to just a single initial C necklace generations after.
We conclude this part of episode 1. In our next episode, you will hear the tale of my father, a good man whose reputation was destroyed by his brother, the rivalry between the Dudley and Contivale families, and a few familiar faces of history, such as Henry VIII, his son Edward. This is also the time frame when I was born. Expect great insight in the next episode of Secrets of the Countess's Smile.